Hey, I'm Trey, and this is a true story about a serial killer who loves taking things from people. Have you ever wondered why some seemingly normal people wake up one day, snap, and decide to kill everybody in a 5-block radius? Me too. I enjoy reading true stories like these, and I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Well, if you're ready, let's get started. In 1982, during the month of March, and in the country of Estonia, one dark night, a man by the name of Elmar Vivo was sightseeing. He was a sailor by trade that was just granted leave from his ship, and this was the last time that any of his shipmates would see him alive. On an isolated street where not much pedestrian traffic traveled, he was being preyed upon by a waiting villain. Any random victim would have suited, but Elmar was at the right place during the wrong time. That unknown person waited until there was no witnesses, then pounced on him while stabbing him repeatedly in the neck and torso. When Elmar collapsed from his injuries, the attacker dragged his limp body into the nearby alleyway. It was at that point the attacker cut off a pants leg and cut off a large chunk of meaty flesh from his thigh. The meat, or human flesh if you will, was wrapped in a piece of cloth and placed in the bag. The attacker fled the scene, leaving Elmar to die in the alley on the ground. Come on, man. There's a place where you can go to get fresh meat, and it's called a grocery store. The deceased victim's body was found by the police shortly after. The authorities were baffled. I was baffled too. Not only was this man killed for no apparent reason, but also because none of his money or personal belongings were taken. The authorities also found it difficult to believe that a large chunk of meaty flesh was purposely cut off the victim's thigh and removed from the scene. None of the police on the scene had ever encountered a murder where only thing taken from the victim was a large chunk of human flesh. There were no witnesses or leads for the police to follow. A month and a half later, a 75-year-old retired man by the name of Ivan Savitsky, who resided alone in his cottage, owned a sauna in his rear garden that he used regularly. Because Ivan didn't have to worry about prying eyes, he would normally use his sauna naked. The unknown attacker, from some vantage point, saw Ivan enter and waited a few minutes to make sure he was alone. The unknown person entered into Ivan's sauna and repeatedly stabbed him in the neck and chest until he died. The unknown killer then carefully stretched out the murdered victim's body on the floor. He then took a knife and carefully cut off the man's penis and testicles, wrapping them both in a cloth and then placing them in a bag. The killer then fled the location. What the F? You kill a man and steal his penis? I'm gonna call a flag on that play, man. Several hours later, a concerned neighbor found the murdered victim's corpse mutilated. The police were notified and responded. The police didn't know what to make of this scene, and they didn't have any leads or witnesses. In July of the same year, a homeless Russian female immigrant by the name of Yevgenia Kovalsa was hungry and picking raspberries in the forest near the town of Lagary. This area is typically frequented by the homeless because fruits are plentiful and it's walking distance from the city. The unknown villain observed her all alone and unaware that she was being stalked in an isolated area. The unidentified person crept behind and stabbed her several times until she dropped from her injuries. The attacker then began to tear her clothing off. Then the villain raped her as she died of her injury. Damn, man, you can't even pick raspberries in peace without the fear of being killed by a psychopath. The following day, the authorities located the victim's body, but due to the isolation of the area, no witnesses were found or leads located. Exactly 1 month later, during the month of August, the killer had an accomplice help him during a planned attack. The killer planned to make another random killing, but this time they were looking to kill a taxicab driver. A taxicab driver by the name of Alari Kivi was sitting in his vehicle waiting for a potential customer to flag him down. When two strangers entered his vehicle and began to stab him repeatedly, Alari fought back and injured one of the attackers. Alari managed to escape with his life, but with serious stab wounds to his chest, arms, and back. The police were contacted, and a man by the name of Jonis Haney and his wife, Pili Haney, were both identified and arrested as the attacker. During the police interview of Jonis, he confessed to all of his murders. His wife aided him by being a lookout or driver for the getaway vehicle in each of the cases. Jonis confessed to cooking and eating the chunk of flesh cut off from the initial victim by the name of Elmar Vivo the sailor. Jonis stated that he always wanted to cook and taste human flesh. Jonis also confessed to cutting off and removing Ivan Savitsky's penis and his testicles while bathing in his own sauna. Jonies wanted a real penis, get this, to use as his own personal dildo during sex. Jonies professed to enjoying wearing women's lingerie while having sex with men and women. His wife Pilly was aware and assisted in performing all of his fantasies. While in prison, Jonies hung himself in his jail cell before he could be tried for his crimes. His wife Pilly was charged with accessory to the crimes and found guilty. She was given a 12-year jail sentence that she completed. She was released and had her name changed and relocated out of the country. I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. If you're interested in more stories like, please hit the like button, subscribe, and notification button so you can be reminded of the content that I upload. God bless and stay safe.